Welcome to Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Well, I must tell you that preparing for this episode was not an easy one. Trying to compress Michael Landon's life and career into 10 minutes is not an easy task, but I'm going to try. So here we go. This is my favorite picture of Michael Landon. To me, he's saying, I did it. I showed everyone. I'm happy. I survived. I'm in control of my life. And the reason I say that is because he makes no bones about the fact that he had a horrible childhood. He was born on Halloween, 1936, to Peggy and Eli Orowitz. He was born Eugene Maurice Orowitz, beautiful little child, younger brother of Evelyn, 3 years his senior. And he says that they simply hated each other, unfortunately, and he was sort of made the go-between between them. They didn't speak for months, and they'd used Eugene to speak for them. And he was so fearful of his mother committing suicide as a young boy. He said he was 10 years old when he realized that there was more you could put into an oven than your head. She tried several attempts to commit suicide. He even prevented her from drowning at one point. So his young life was very traumatic, and it was very tumultuous and out of control. He was born in Forest Hills, Queens, New York, but he grew up in Collingswood, New Jersey. His father was rarely around, and he was left fearful of his mother. But he went to high school in Collingswood, New Jersey, and he was known as Oogie Orowitz. Great name. And he was too small for football and too small for basketball, but as we all know, he was an incredibly athletic person. And he found a place on the track team where he took up the javelin. I threw javelin in high school, and it's a very specific technique of how to throw it, and he totally figured it out because he had the longest throw in the United States at the high school level at that time. That's quite a throw. So that was his ticket. He was Olympic bound, and he got an athletic scholarship to USC and made his way out west. Unfortunately, he tore up his shoulder, and those Olympic dreams were dashed, and he was left out there to fend for himself, really. Started getting odd jobs, selling blankets door to door. But as fate would have it, he happened to follow a friend into Paramount Pictures, and they were looking for upcomers and extras and things like that. He actually took a course at Paramount. They were offering an acting workshop, and he took that for 4 months. That was really the only acting training he had. But I kind of prefer untrained actors. I prefer actors who it comes to them naturally, and Michael Landon's acting came to him so naturally. You never catch them acting, when it's that innate. And that's what I found with Michael. You never caught him acting. So he was Michael Landon by this time. He wanted to be Michael Lane, but that was taken. So he went into the phone book and found Landon. And he started getting work. He started getting work in television roles, and he did Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen. And as a matter of fact, he used to work out with Steve McQueen at the Paramount Gym. What did Steve McQueen have to say about Michael Landon? He said, what does he want? He wants to control it all. Well, that is quite insightful for Steve McQueen to say in 1957. So Michael also got B-movies, I Was a Teenage Werewolf and High School Confidential, until eventually he landed the iconic role of Little Joe Cartwright, the Casanova, impish, mischievous, hot-tempered, iconic Little Joe Cartwright. He was 21 years old, and we literally watched him grow from a boy to a man over 14 seasons. It's quite a difference. And he was 21 at the time, and he was supposedly playing a 17-year-old. And Haskell Boggs, who was the cinematographer for Bonanza, said that he was quite ornery on the set when he started, which I can't really imagine Michael Landon be ornery. There's Michael with Haskell Boggs. But he said that he thought that Michael was quite intimidated by his castmates. Now, Dan Blocker had a master's degree in dramatic arts and had quite a bit of experience under his belt. And of course, Lorne and Purnell were trained Shakespearean theater actors and had a great deal of experience under the belt. So I think Michael felt like I'm gonna use this experience. I'm gonna teach myself everything there is to know about producing a television show, and that's exactly what he did. He on his lunch hours he used to go up to John Hawkins' office, according to Haskell Boggs, and learn how to write screenplays. He was mentored to write screenplays, and lo and behold, in 1962, here's Michael on the set with his typewriter. He got his first writing credit in Bonanza, called The Gamble. That was the first episode he wrote. So over that period, that 14-year period, he just lapped it all up. He lapped up camera angles and lenses and budgets and everything you could possibly need to know. It was the school of Bonanza. And then once the series was over in 1973, and he moved on to his next project, Little House on the Prairie, he hit the ground running. He was wearing all four hats during that show. He produced it, he wrote it, he acted in it, and he directed it. I don't know of anyone, living or dead, that wore all those hats simultaneously on a show, and I don't think people understand the scope of work that is. It's a tremendous amount of work. He was up at 4 a.m. every day. He was driven to and from work because he needed every moment of every day to get his work done. He loved the creative process. Acting was actually his least favorite thing to do. And on top of all that, by the time he was 50, he had 9 children. Here they all are. Let's see if I can get them all right. Mark, Josh, Cheryl, Leslie, Mike Jr., Christopher, Shauna, Jennifer, Sean. I think I got everyone. So he had a very full plate, did Michael Landon, and was known for his wonderful sense of humor. I think that's one of the things that got him through life, is that this great sense of humor. And then after Little House, he moved on to Highway to Heaven, and Michael Landon was on television consecutively for 30 years. That is quite a record. He appeared on the cover of TV Guide 22 times. Here's just 2. Second only to Lucille Ball. He was the fabric of our life in the 70s and 80s. He was always there. And just, according to castmates and everyone who worked with him, a wonderful person and a wonderful person to be with. He had a very loyal television family that he brought on from Bonanza. Haskell Boggs, as I mentioned, David Rose, Kent McCrae, and on and on. They were with him his entire career. And then in 1991, whammo. Just a devastating diagnosis of inoperable pancreatic cancer for Michael Landon. And he faced it with such humor and such bravery. It was just devastating that this had to happen. And then it was only 3 months later, on July 1st, 1991, that Michael Landon passed away at the age of 54. What a loss. I mean, he meant so much to so many people, not just his family and his television family, but millions of fans around the world, I think, who just took him for granted and thought he would be there forever. Little Joe, and then Charles Ingalls, and on to Highway to Heaven. And he had a new project in the works called Us that never came to fruition because of his death. But I think of today, of how he could have, can you imagine the TED Talks and the master classes that Michael Landon could have given and mentored? He had such a font of knowledge in every aspect of acting, directing, producing, and writing a television show. His organization skills had to be off the charts. He was an amazing guy. I don't like to make him out as a saint. Nobody's a saint. But such a talented, disciplined person. And considering the way he was raised, he just rose above it. And it's something that a lot of people aren't successful at doing. But I never like to leave Ponderosa North on a sad note, Michael Landon always said, remember me with love and laughter. And that's what I always do. And whenever I watch Little Joe, he always makes me smile. And he will for generations to come. So thank you for joining me on Ponderosa North. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.